I really liked the Hitman movie, like the original Hitman movie with what's his name from Deadwood. I never actually played the game, which is probably why I liked it. All my other friends that saw were big heavy hitters of the game. They're like, this movie sucks. You wouldn't have any emotional attachment. So I'm like, Bullock. So this, the LCX plus SDAC, which is the Liquid Carbon X amp with an SDAC built in. Now this is interesting because this is, I don't know if this is a first for Massdrop. See, they got these boxes. I don't know if I'm lining these videos up one day after the other. I should be. I just did the Cavelli hybrid tube, and that's Alex Cavelli's hybrid tube amp. And I like it. I really do like it. For the cost, it's like, it's just not quite a full tube, but it's got enough power, you don't have to worry about it. So then this one. Now this is Alex Cavelli's liquid carbon amp, solid state amp. But it's also Grace Designs SDAC. Now, I'll link in the description of this video, obviously this, and this, and then the separate SDAC, which is a separate unit. And I actually tried to order one, and it's a balanced DAC, and I should have reviewed it by now. So this is Massdrop flexing their, I guess, unique position in the marketplace, where they can say, hey Alex, we're gonna take your amp that everyone likes, and we're gonna put it in this like box that we have. We have lots of these boxes. And then we're gonna stick a DAC in there with it, and just wire them together, and then sell it as a combo. That'd be like Geshelli Labs and THX combining and having like one of those with a DAC built in, and it's the Geshelli Enog. That'd be amazing. So this is actually relatively amazing, not just because of that fact that they've taken two things like an O2 amp and an ODAC and combining it. They've taken two different companies that just happen to be working with them and shoved them in the same box. So let's move on. Power brick, which is how much? 30 volts, 1 1/4 amp. 30 volt, 30. That's a lot. Now we look at the back, and I'm going to try not to have it be unplugged right now because I've got everything sort of in there right now. So here's your power brick entrance. Here is a 3.5 millimeter output, so you can get to the DAC as an output through that 3.5 millimeter only. There is RCA pass-throughs that will not access a DAC. Only a 3.5 output will. And I have this here set up to show you, like you'd buy these red RCA cables, linked in the description. You'd buy an adapter, also linked in the description, and you would plug one to the other. If I had it plugged in, I would show you, but maybe I'll show you later. The only thing this DAC will accept is USB. So you got a USB mini, USB micro there. And just for testing purposes, I have the Geshelli Labs Enog 2 plugged in, both balanced and unbalanced, RCA and XLR, with nothing coming out of the pass-throughs, because then it would just be working for this, etc., etc. So that's the back of it. You can access the DAC and listen to just the DAC on any headphone amp you want. It will not be balanced, it'll just be single-ended, but it's fine. This, exact same boxes. I mean, you just pretty much reference any of my reviews now from Massdrop. And then on the front, looking much more reminiscent of the 789, power button here. You got a single-ended 1/4 inch, 4-pin balanced. Your little white light there. This is where it freaked me out when I was first playing with this. I remember I sat down, I'm like, let me try the gain switch. Why can't I hear anything anymore? This knob, which is the same knob as the 789, now that is the input switch, because there's 3 inputs. USB, XLR, and RC. I really can't wiggle my fingers, hold on. USB, XLR, and RCA. I can do RCA really good. And then you have a gain push button, in for high gain, out for low gain. I pretty much have been leaving it in all the time, which is strange because the output wattage of this at 50 ohm, 2.8 watts per channel. That's power. And it fucking shows. We've got a lot of things on this table. Neumann's, Sendiivas. These are the other Massdrop Edition XXs. And for good measure, I have the Hi-Fi Arias here, which are more than double the price of those. And I'm going to be shooting those off. I'm going to give them each their own review, but I'm going to reference them back and forth when I'm doing it. So let's talk about this as an amplifier, or as a DAC, or a DAClifier. Should I call it a DAClifier? Should I fuck up the whole hi-fi world and call these now DAClifiers? Wow, I could even do it on Hi-Fi Guides, the forum, where there will be a link in the description where you could talk about this, and I can make a different section called DAClifiers, and I could hear people in the conversation say it. It would be terrifying. I won't do that to you. But if you take it off, hashtag DAClifier, I don't know. So, let me start with the Quirks. I plugged in, obviously, the external DAC just to compare against the internal DAC. And I noticed one thing immediately. When I was going in RCA, the Shelly Labs is louder. When you physically switch it from 1 to 3, because the way the switch works is 1 is USB, 2 is XLR, and 3 is RCA. In that order as is in the back. That's fine. Now, I had to do some switching on Windows, or in FooBar at least. If I want to use the internal SDAC, set that to the internal SDAC, switch this to 1, put on whatever. And then if I switch it to XLR or RCA, then I have to come here and switch this. And it gets louder. So when you shove a DAC in something, you pick the voltage. Now I've got the Shelly Labs on the highest output gain, because that is one of the rare DACs that has a selectable output gain. So I have it on the highest. And I'm like, okay, maybe the highest on that is louder than this because the medium is what you should be on. But the medium on that is lower than this. So it's in this weird like conundrum where if I switch between the two, whatever the external input is louder. And that I could see it and understand it for RCAs, because a lot of RCA signal sources are lower. You're coming off of like an old game console or something, or just something weak. That's fine. And I would expect the XLRs, which I know for a fact, when they come out of that Shelly Labs, if I plug them into like the 789 and I switch between them with the input button, the balanced input should be higher volume. But on this, it's not. Do that, do that, do that, do that. Oh, turn the volume knob up. Volume knobs, they're useful. If I go between XLR and RCA, and XLR and RCA, there's a slight pop of me just switching the input. No volume change at all. No discernible volume change at all. Which means that they are taking the inputs here, the analog inputs, and custom reducing them so that they're balanced. And I absolutely respect that for this unit, because this way you're not switching between it and turning up and down. The only problem is the USB, which means the SDAC itself is actually a lower output voltage. If I go, I'll try to find you guys a song that's like, that's got a pretty consistent loudness to it. So, that's RCA, that's XLR. And if I switch it to the internal DAC, and then I do this, you can hear it's a little bit quieter. You can just hear it's a little bit quieter than this. That's got more oomph behind it. I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, if you buy this, I hope you're buying this with the intended use of using the internal DAC, because that's the point. The fact that it has XLR-IMs and RCNs are useful. You can plug in your phone, you can plug in anything you want to it as an external input. XLR is more specifically for, I'm going to hook a better DAC up to this. And after a couple hours of listening to the Arias and the Sandiivas and my Neumanns, well, actually less Neumanns, we'll get to that in a second. This as a combo, it's cheaper than the monoprice THX, and I think I might like it a little better. It's more colored. Here, stop. I didn't say it's better than THX. I didn't say it's cleaner than THX. Stop. It's certainly more powerful than the monoprice THX. This is 6 watts a channel. If you think that I'm like, oh, 789's done, bro, gotta get this new one. No, that fucker is 6 watts a channel on high gain. If I do this and that, I could play speakers through it. This is 2.8 watts a channel, which is a lot. And it's very, very clean. It's not 789 clean. Nothing that is 789 clean is anything but 789 right this moment. But I love the way this is nice and smooth, and it's kind of like the Klipsch Heritage, only like $120 cheaper. So it's got a DAC. It only has USB. I could live with that. That's fine. You know, I usually go fiber optic or go home, but get what you get. The XLR inputs are cute. I don't really see a point. If you're getting it with the DAC built in, just use it with the DAC built in. I haven't... The comparison between the DACs in the Geshelli Labs Enog 2 and this, they are really on par with each other. I think the warmth and the smoothness I'm hearing is all LCX. It's all liquid carbon. And I love it. This might be the go-to DAC. This might be the go-to damplifier. DAClifier? What did I call it? Shit, I forgot already. This might be the go-to DAClifier for the coming decade. Well, maybe not decade. I know how this business works. This will be the go-to for the next 6 months, and then something that I've never even heard of, something that probably isn't even in production yet, will come up and just be like, oh my god. So, are you asking me, Zeos, do I need the 789 if I get this? I can't. I have 3 of those, right? I have 3 of them for a reason. This is a combo for under $400. With it, that's it. That's it. You're done. Very much done. 2.8 watts. That's balance. 2.8 watts out of the balance. So we're going to talk about the flaw. There's a big flaw. There's always a flaw. And people who don't watch these videos to the end, they miss out on the flaws from now on. So I like the build. I like the power. It does take a little bit long to turn on. Like I've had it come on, I hit the power, and I'm like, why? What? Why? Hello? Hello? And then finally it turns on. The flaw I'm talking about is made possible by the Ursine cables that I have that let me go and test between balanced and unbalanced like this. And switch. And switch. I do not like the way this amp sounds single-ended. I'm giving it a ton of praise balanced. Like, it is just balanced through the DAC. The DAC internally is balanced. They're real close. I was having a hard time telling apart these two, to be honest. Like, I was expecting there to be some sort of spatial difference, because there's no volume difference between the balanced and the unbalanced. But I wasn't really hearing a massive quality difference in like any of the normal ways I can usually detect when balance is being sent in. So I'm wondering what they're doing on the internals of this. If they're fucking with the external thing, or if it's just they're just so close to each other because of the limitation of volume. And then you put on the SDAC, which is internal, and it's still good. Everything back here is good. So when you get to the front, when you get to the 1/4 inch versus the XLR 4-pin, this is when you start going, ooh, wait a second. Because there is a volume discrepancy. When you use this, you get more power out of it. You get the most power. Actually, I don't think they list the power you get out of a 1/4 inch. They say what it is, maximum of 2.8 watts per channel out of the balanced. But they don't say what this is. And it's usually less. If I was going by a normal ratio, it would be like 2 watts versus 2.8 or 1.8 versus 2.8. That's a guess, complete guess. I know what this is, I don't know what this is. That being said, sitting here with several headphones, and I can't use my Neumanns for this because the Neumanns are currently only single-ended. There is actually a cable. Someone has linked me a cable. I haven't gotten it yet to verify, but I had to go and actually take this to a sander and sand down a like M50X cable to get it to fit. Apparently there's an HD6 cable for Sennheiser that will fit in this on order. I will link it in the description because by the time this video comes out, that cable will be here and I verified. So you can actually take the beautiful Neumanns and give it a nice short, usable wire. But I don't have these balanced, and that puts me at a disadvantage because if I go to test this, if I unplug this and this, I have to use the single-ended output. And like I was saying, let me put this back to the internal DAC because I think we're done. Just pushing it off, leaving high gain. Like it sounds good. And I put the gain down. It's very hard to pick with the high-low gain because low gain almost always works. And then you start listening and go, all right, let me see what high gain does. And it opens everything up. Everything opens up in high gain. Everything I put on it. HD600s, these, that. The Sennheiser HD820s are not here because they're just too big for the fucking table and that stupid wire. Everything opens up on high gain. So this is basically a high gain only amp. You're going to run at high gain. My issue is when I plug in single-ended, and again, I can't judge it on the Neumanns, but on the Sendies, on the Edition XXs, on these, everything I've plugged in that I can switch between the two with the same cable, they just sound, the volume goes down, and it just sounds duller on the 1/4 inch. If you have one of these, and you know what I'm talking about, and you have ability to switch between, you could even buy one of these. I'll link to one of these if you don't have one. If you have a permanently balanced set of headphones, you can run them on a not balanced amplifier. You can literally do this. And now I can plug almost here to find this out. And it's just, it's almost a perfect amp comp. It's perfect. It sounds amazing. It's just a little bit more color than the 789, but at 2.8 watts per channel, that's about as powerful as you ever need to fucking go. And it's cheaper than the mono price, and it's simpler. I like the fact that it's got, I like the fact that it doesn't have Dirac Live and everything else. It's just plain. Here's your digital input, 1. You got a 3.5mm output. So if you wanted to do this, and I wanted to do this just to show on video because it looks so cool. Boom. You could have this little stack go up like that. Fill all your holes, baby. So you get little RCAs. Again, we'll link to these. You get one of these converters. You now can access the DAC, run anything you want. You don't have to run this to a headphone amp. You can run it to a speaker amp. You can run it to any other source out there. I like this. I like the whole monoprice actual. Oh, I'm sorry, Massdrop. I like their actual form factor. They picked a good one. A lot of places pick a form factor and it's hard to stick to. Like here's Emotiva. This is their baby. This is their amps and stuff. And I don't like the cheap case. This is solid. There's no seam here. There's no seam. Just the fascia has the seam in the back. And this is just more like samey bullshit. And they did it for these are the amps, and then there's their little pre. So it's close, but I love the way this feels and looks better. It's a good, they made a good decision. Massdrop. I'm sorry, did I say Massdrop? This old video. Old video. Drop has made a good decision on this because you can do this sort of stack. You could do literally this, and then you could run one of those under it. You could have everything stacked up. I could actually do that and have the most beautiful picture ever. You sit over here now. This is absolutely worth the $380 it costs. The amp alone is like a $250, it's so, 2.8 watts. You gotta understand, like when I talk about like the JDS Atom, or the Liquid Spark, the little one, or anything in like that $100 range, those all end about 1.3 watts per channel. And having so much more power to draw from opens things up. Then it's how clean it is, especially on balance. Again, we're talking balance now. So now throw in that it's a balanced amp, so that adds another $100 to the equation on top of everything else, on top of the power. And then just happens to come with an SDAC, which everybody likes. I have no problem with it. Geshelly Labs, Enog, or SDAC, throw a coin up in the air, I don't care. They both sound amazing. It's very hard to find highly recommended things that are not good anymore. I recommend the Enog, it's good. I recommend the SDAC, it's good. This is almost perfect. The only issue I got with it is I think the 1/4 inch doesn't sound as good. The single-ended output on the front does not sound as good, as clean, as proper as the balanced. I think it was designed for balance, and I think whatever resistor they put in line to, because you have 2 amplifiers for balance, and that's it. One side, the other side. If you want to combine those into a single-ended, you got to do some shit inside of here to prevent it from blowing up the amplifiers, to making them touch. So I think whatever they're doing here is just fucking with the single-ended. So what I would say is you get this, you get some bubble gum, you chew it, and you shove it right over that thing so it doesn't exist, and you enjoy the hell out of this balanced inputting analog USB balanced DAC with RCA pass-throughs and selector and gain. And I, of course, modified the volume knob like I did yesterday with the Cavelli Tube Hybrid with just a piece of my Dymo label printer thing and just shove it on there, and there it is. Well, it keeps sticking. But I like to know where my volume is, like at a glance, especially with power there. So bravo. Do absolutely recommend this. It actually gets a little bit warm. I don't hate that. My 79 feels like it's dead inside. Why are you dead inside? This has a bit of warmth. And I enjoy the little bit of warmth and the way it adds that little bit of warmth to the headphone amp. And you could just... I was sitting here and for the first time in a couple weeks, I haven't had a reason to use my Sendiivas. And I love my Sendiivas. So I'm just like playing with them. I'm just here. Let me real quick have a little baby orgasm on the screen. Just a little one, not a big one, not a huge one, just like a good. That's not how that works. Oh, where are we? Where are we? Down, down. We're on high gain with the Sendiivas. There. Low gain. There. But at the same time, I want high gain at like 10 o'clock. I want this. This is what I want. Ah. That's hybrid, by the way. I'm listening to hybrid Surin, S-U-R-I-N. Quiver from Sound System 01. Oh, my science. I can't. Shut this off. I have no way to knock this thing. Other than the 1/4 inch sounding a little bit less good. And it's a noticeable amount less good than the balanced. This is a fucking buy. So, click the link in the description to buy it. I will link other things that I've mentioned throughout the video. Honestly, the worst part about making my reviews is I have to rewatch them and see if they make the corniest jokes and then link all the things I linked. I'm also going to make a post for this on the Hi-Fi Guides forum. And you guys could all discuss it there if you don't want to discuss it in the comments. Check out the Patreon. A patron of mine contacted me and said, I have these 2 units, would you like to try them? And I went, hell fucking yes, because Massdrop or Drop hasn't offered them to me, so I'm glad they showed up, because they're both quality. What are you afraid of, Drop? Throw it at Zeos. Zeos loves you guys. I hate you at the same time as I love you. It's a balance, alright? The world is a balance. I'll put the glove on and I'll snap my fingers, and the world will be in balance. Too many references to the MCU? Okay, fine. Anyway, I'm sorry I didn't plug in the arias during this review, but don't worry, they're coming. These are both coming. And I'm coming with them. So, grab that wallpaper, click the links, check out the forums where there'll be discussion on this, check out the Patreon where you'll be able to see this video up to a week plus early. So if they're on Massdrop and there's a limited supply, guess who gets to see them first? The people who pay to see them first. I've been known to sell out certain items pretty much permanently, so I got a little bit like one of those going on. It's fine. I love my patrons. They really do. They pay my rent. They pay for shipping. And when I'm done with things in a yard sale, like I bought these straight up. If I decide to keep them, I keep them. If I don't decide to keep them, yard sales, 1st to the 10th. That's where you're going to be able to see a post. You're going to be able to click it and put a bid in on anything that I'm done with throughout the whole of my cycle. Every single month, 8 to 12 items just go up, and whatever your bid is, that's the winning bid. Whatever you bid, if it's the highest bid, you win. Free shipping in the United States, half shipping international. There's also a $10 Patreon tier if you want to discuss things with me directly. You want to be on my phone. $10 tier gets you into the private chat. You, 140 other people, and me all having a big circle jerk about audio. And sometimes not audio. Sometimes about beer and root beer. And we got into like First Amendment rights for a while. It was really interesting because all these people are really educated, well-versed people. And I like to hear the arguments between them and then sit back and eat popcorn. So I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this, honestly. I'm glad it's out. I was sitting here, I was sitting on the pile for a while, and I was like, I wonder if it's going to be any good. It's fucking great. So, there you go. I'm done. You're done. We're done. Thank you. Good night.